I'm serious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Just kidding.
I don't need it.
Yeah, that's it. Sandra, yeah. Good.
Getting lost. You're at it.
Good evening. Best we could do. Good evening. Good evening. There we go. Thank you. I'd like to call the monthly meeting for Bonita Springs Fire Control and Rescue District, Monday, March 14th, 2016, to order. Please rise for an invocation by Chaplain Chitwood, followed by the pledge.
Each month, we take a moment to remember those firemen across the U.S. that have passed away, and this month there are 3. So I want to have a moment of silence in honor of them, and then I'll follow that with a prayer. Dear God, we come to you tonight, and we pray that you'll be with those families that have lost a loved one, a firefighter, this past month. We thank you for their service and pray, Lord, that those that have that loss will feel your comfort and presence during this time. Lord, I pray that you will give protection to our firemen and their families, and that you may always watch over them. Thank you for the service they provide and the sacrifices they make every time they come to serve. And Lord, be with the meeting tonight, be with the commissioners, give them wisdom and decisions they make that impact the lives of others. We thank you for the freedom we have, and just thank you for the nation that we live in. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public comment on agenda items this evening? The cards I have up here are not on an agenda item. That we have another public input at the end. I don't believe that's on the agenda this evening. Anybody? Okay. I need one motion for the approval of February 16th and February 17th, both the regular board meeting and the special board meeting minutes.
I so move.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We need one motion to approve the February 2016 and current expenditures and ACH payments, the acknowledgement of the financial report, the acknowledgement of wire transfers and transfers between accounts, and the budget transfer number 3 for purchase of ladder truck.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item, turn over to Chief Daigle on some wonderful presentations this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Chief.
I just wanted to start off with a presentation. This first presentation is for a Medal of Valor. I believe we've only given this out once before to our former Chief Kinsey. This is the highest medal that we can give for an act of valor in the face of extreme danger when one risks personal or does a tremendous amount of personal sacrifice for the benefit of their fellow citizen and fellow human being. So first, Medal of Valor will be to Mr. Jamison Gray and Christian Valiente. Did I pronounce that properly? I did. Before I asked them to come up, I wanted to just explain a little bit. We're going to go into this particular incident before, but these two gentlemen risked their lives for the benefit to save the lives of their fellow citizens in a fire that we had on Dorch Avenue. They, without getting into the specifics, many of you saw it on the news, but they ran into a house that was fully involved structure fire with tremendous visibility problems and extreme heat, extreme fire conditions, and risked their lives to come to the aid of their fellow citizens. So I'd like you gentlemen to come up, and I will present you with the award.
I just want to say before anything, I appreciate all of your time. I actually don't have people to just come out here and do this for me. I did it, and I would do it for any of you in this room in a moment's notice. There wasn't really much time to act, but in the situation that stands, any of you in a moment's notice. And I would act in a natural disaster. I would be one to act in a natural disaster. An anonymous person.
It's tough. But, you know, again, like he said, Nick's my best friend. He's my worker. We do it for any of you. Anybody. No. You have to. They have souls. They're alive. You know, they breathe in like we are right now. You just do what you gotta do. You get the job done, get out. That's it. The rest is in God's hands. Thank you.
Oh, man, bro.
Hold on a second, we got more for you. We got more for you. You guys want to hold it like this?
Can't do my fist, but.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
I thank you for being there.
You're welcome. That's all we ask for.
With that said, I'd like to make a special announcement.
You're getting married.
I would like to ask Santana Elizabeth Marie Torres to come to the front, please. I apologize. This girl has been with me through thick and thin, and we've been through the most, so to speak. And you can hold it for me. You got my best. I'd like to ask this lovely young lady of mine, aka my lioness, to marry me. that pulled me out of that fire, that man right there. And I'd like to give a shout out to my family that arrived, and Juan, Richard, Corey, and Noah, those people, and I love all of you for showing. You are my family. If I may have the liberty. Ooh.
Didn't see that one coming, did you, Chief?
That's a first, and I got to say, that is awesome. That is awesome. I did want to make mention of something. When some people had called me up when this event took place, and they said, what message do you, are these gentlemen heroes, or should they not have gone in? Should they, what would you say as the chief, they did an unsafe act sort of thing? I said, look, you're reacting. They're heroes, absolutely heroes. And we get emotional because, it's an emotional time, but I'm proud to have worked with you in that particular incident, and have citizens like you in Bonita Springs is definitely shows the immense bravery that you displayed. So, thank you. Okay, additionally, we have a certificate of recognition for our Lee County Sheriff's Office employees. Many times we work together on multiple different highly dangerous and highly evolving scenes, from issues that the firefighters go into that are law enforcement intensive, that are extremely dangerous, and we try to assist them with their particular job as best that we can. And also they, in turn, do the same for us. And we're very lucky here in Bonita Springs to have some unbelievable policemen, deputies that work for the Sheriff's Office. We work on a daily basis with these men and women, and I have nothing but the greatest thing and admiration for what they do. And I have to say that we work hand in hand as one for public safety. So I would like to make mention for a certificate of recognition, Lee County Sheriff's Sergeant James, we'll just call him Boggs, as everybody calls him on the street. He's standing over there. Sergeant, if you wouldn't mind coming up front, please. Next, I'd also like to recognize Deputy Kristen Riddenor. Is that correct, Kristen? And also Lieutenant Brian Presbalewski. These men and women here on that fire scene, they didn't say, it's not my job. They went in and helped us in every respect of trying to do the best we could on a highly dangerous and highly evolving situation. And they know how I feel about them, and I just wanted to offer them a certificate and thanks. I am going to jump ahead before I turn it over to Local 3444. I would like to recognize also Mr. Bob Patterson. I didn't see Mr. Patterson come in the room earlier. Do we have his certificate or his plaque?
Is he here?
I would like to mention that Bob Patterson, from 2003 to 2016, in appreciation for his 13 years of loyal and committed fiduciary service, you have provided us to the retirement system of the Bonita Springs Fire Control and Rescue District. Bob is resigning his position, and for many of you who don't know Bob, he also served as a board member. But we wanted to thank him for his service, and he is calling it a day. And we just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Patterson. And he's not here, but I'll make sure I get this to him. Next, I'll turn it over to Local 3444, and thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Natalie Hughes, and I had the opportunity this year to manage Local 3444's professional firefighter calendar. So I wanted to share with you how that went. So this is a picture of the back. This was a little different than years we've done in the past, and I'll explain why. The calendar started back in 1999, and it's always been a hit. In 2016, we're in an era where there's smartphones and digital calendars, and printable calendars are kind of a thing of the past. So we knew we had to do something a little bit different this year in order to generate sales. So instead of the traditional firefighter calendar, this year's Bonita Springs firefighters were featured with rescue pets, as you've seen here. These rescue dogs and cats, along with 12 firefighters, donated their time to make the calendar possible. The calendar was even photographed by our very own firefighter, Ernie Williams. This was no easy feat, but dogs and cat treats were kept on hand to make the process a little bit easier. This year, the calendar sold out completely thanks to members of the community. Citrus Park and Village Walk sold them at their bingo nights, and there were even 2 calendar signings, one at Best of Everything and one at Citrus Park. Here's a picture of the one at Best of Everything. You'll see members of the community came out, even dressed their pets to show their support. I want to thank firefighter Bruce Sheffield, Vince Perkins, Adam Hughes, and Joe Sanderson for attending these calendar signings and again donating their time, which ultimately helped drive sales. Yes, those dogs' toenails are painted. Although they couldn't be here tonight, I also wanted to recognize our community partner, Best of Everything, for selling an all-time record number of calendars. For those of you that don't know, Best of Everything's a shop in Bonita Springs off of 41, and they sold over 125 calendars in their store alone. They were about 1/3 of our overall calendar sales. So even though they couldn't be here, we wanted to share that with them. So it turns out when you pair rescue animals with rescuers, they sell very well. If you live in Bonita Springs and you get the banner delivered to your house, this was on the front page of the banner, kind of a sweet message that was back in Citrus Park, and then it was also the center article. So I'm pleased to announce tonight that all the calendars are sold. We are going to be giving out 2 checks, first of which is to the Bonita Springs Assistance Office. They will receive 10% of calendar sales. The Assistance Office is a great community partner. I've had the opportunity to work with Miss Terry Lemaine, and she is awesome. Terry, if you'd come up and please accept the check from the Local 3444.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Can I get a picture of you too? Yeah. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I say something? Absolutely.
Good evening. Oh, everybody can normally hear me. I'm sorry to hold up your meeting, but first of all, gentlemen, thank you for the calendar. And I want to thank you all, fine men and women, for your service. But I also want to let everybody in this room know that all this money stays right here in Bonita Springs, helping those in need of a time of a crisis. And I think the family standing or sitting here in front of me will give me the permission to say, when their house was destroyed on Dorch Avenue, the Red Cross stepped in temporarily. Sorry, Kim. And the Bonita Springs Assistance Office has been working daily with the family to make sure that they have clothing, food, and a roof over their heads since the week after the fire. So I'm sorry to be emotional. It's just a great job, and I thank you all for your support and your donation tonight. God bless you, family.
Okay, one more. The theme this year was the rescue animals. We want to thank Lee County Domestic Animal Services for opening their doors, allowing us to photograph with their beautiful adoptees. This year, 90% of the calendar proceeds will go to Lee County Domestic Animal Service. In addition to calendar sales, we had several members of the community just come up to give us cash donations they wanted us to pass along to the shelter. These donations, along with calendar proceeds, will help unwanted, abused, and neglected animals find a loving, permanent, forever home. Forever home. Director Mac Young and Field Manager Brandon Scribner, Lee County Domestic Animal Services, please come up to accept your check.
First of all, we want to thank you guys for having us tonight. And you guys had an amazing story. We appreciate everything you guys do. Along with the police department, fire department, you guys don't know how much you mean to all of us, to what you guys do. We appreciate it so much. With the fire department, thank you guys for doing this. Every bit of this money we go to support the animals at Lee County Domestic Animal Services. And we thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hopefully we have a long-term relationship. You guys do it again. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So again, we just want to thank everybody that made the calendar possible. Additionally, I wanted to take this opportunity to let you know that we're having an Easter open house here at the Bonita Springs Fire Station this Saturday, okay? From 10 o'clock until about noon. It's going to be free to the public, but what we are going to ask is that we're going to take donations for the family of Shirley Corrigan. Okay, so for your family here. The Phillips family will benefit from this. All donations will go through Oak River Church, which meets here in our fire station, and they will distribute the donations to you guys. Okay, so anybody that can come, we do want you to come out. There is an Easter egg hunt. We're going to have the firefighters here. It's going to be an open house for the fire district. Okay?
Thank you all very much. Next item, Commissioner's business. Commissioner McCourt? Commissioner Murphy?
Not today.
Commissioner Forbes?
I'll save my comments to the end.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
I have, I guess this is an appropriate time to bring it up, as this is going to be Commissioner Forbes' last meeting. He's going to join City Council, and he can't keep both jobs legally. I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with you for the last 7 years, and I'm going to miss you, and good luck with the city. But it's been a real pleasure working with you.
I'd like to second that. I'll save it for the end, but it was nice sitting next to you, sir.
Moving on, under old business, we have to replace Bob Patterson. We need to appoint a new trustee to the General Employees Pension Board and also to the trustee of the Firefighters Pension Board.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Sandra Gibbons to both positions. I second it.
Does anybody have some discussion? I'm sure you all got the application in your packet. Any further discussion on that?
No, she's highly qualified, and I think that she'd
Yeah,
be a
no question.
good person to handle it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, we got a second.
I second it.
Yeah, Larry seconded.
Aye.
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 Now, the next one is the one I've been kind of beating to death for a long time. It's the resolution for nuisance alarms. And I don't know if Tim or the chief or who's going to talk about this, or both, but I know it's fairly complicated, but it's something that I feel is needed to be done for a long time, and maybe you could explain.
Yes, sir. Basically, what the resolution does is we mirrored it with some other local districts, is the resolution provides an avenue for us to charge for nuisance alarms, excess nuisance alarms. First of all, if somebody has a nuisance alarm, meaning an alarm that's set up by a malfunction, then we hand them a sheet of paper and tell them that they need to get it fixed. If they don't get it fixed and resolve it, then we levy a fine of, I believe it's $250,000. If they do not, 250,000, 200, that would, that'd be quite the steep alarm.
We have no problem with next year's budget.
Yeah. We would have nobody living in Bonita Springs. $250 if they do not respond that they took care of the malfunctioning alarm system within 30 days. However, in a calendar year, you have two, we'll just call them free or chargeable alarms or chargeable malfunctions within a calendar year. On the third activation, that is a malfunction that has not been fixed, we charge $100, and then it graduates from there to the sixth. I believe it's the sixth time. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe.
I believe it's the sixth time. So by the board passing this resolution, this will go into effect. But if there's any questions.
And I believe the fire marshal and that division will be overseeing that, correct?
Yes, they will oversee it, and what happens is if they need to, if a member of the community needs to appeal the penalty, they appeal it to me, and then I will work with the fire marshal to determine if they have a legitimate appeal to appeal the process.
Chief, were you talking about two separate things there? One's $250, the other one's $100?
Yes, the way that works is the $250 fine initially is if we get an alarm and it's a malfunction. We tell them that they have to have the malfunction fixed.
Okay.
They have 30 days to reply to the district that they have fixed the alarm.
Okay.
If they don't reply within 30 days, they get the fine of $250.
Okay.
However, if they reply and say they got it fixed, there's no fine, there's no issue.
Okay.
Or they can ask for an extension saying, well, I'm working on trying to get it fixed, and they appeal that to me, and then we say, okay, you get an extension, you could potentially get an extension for 30 days, whichever one seems reasonable at the time. However, if they do get it fixed or don't get it fixed, and they have two malfunctions in a calendar year, they are not charged if they show that they got it fixed within the 30 days. But however, if there's a third malfunction at the same address, then they will begin to get the graduated fines of $100, and I believe, what does it say?
$200, and then it graduates up to $300, and nuisance alarm number 6 and above is $400.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So this should hopefully limit some of our nuisance alarms that we have malfunctions because of system malfunctions.
Thank you for your work on this, because it's, it's a dangerous, I've said it before, every time those trucks roll out on a call, it's putting people's lives in danger, and there's so many of them that are repeat offenders, and we're hoping that this will become a deterrent to make people do the right thing and make sure their alarms work, so.
Yes, sir.
I move we accept this resolution.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thanks again for the work.
Yes, I did want to include in that motion, if you may, the fee schedule for the resolution, and also there was a slight nomenclature change that was recommended by Terry Lewis, if we could just include that as well.
I move to accept the amendment
And I second the change.
And the fee schedule.
and the fee schedule.
Yes, sir.
And the fee schedule.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to add right now, if anybody doesn't want to sit through this rest of this meeting, it would not be rude if anybody would want to get up. We'd give you a couple of minutes to leave if you don't. You're welcome to stay, but I know that there's a lot of stuff here that you people probably have other things to do. So we thank you very much again, and appreciate, and we're here for you anytime you need us. So
Best of luck to you.
Well, you didn't make it, did you say yes or no? Did she say yes?
yeah, she said yes. I heard her.
I couldn't hear from
You
this.
can't go back now.
Sure.
Good luck to you, my friend. Good luck.
Take care of that young lady.
Going into the fire was the easy part.
He's still in the fire.
I said going into the fire was the easy part. Okay, next item is new business and policy 701, personal appearance.
Yes, sir. This is, basically, we have a personal appearance article in the contract. However, it wasn't really specifically lined out and how, what we would consider to be a professional personal appearance. So what we did was define it a little further in our policies, which gives us a little bit an easier way to enforce the type of appearance that we would like to see.
And we have approval of 3444 as well.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item up, Chief's reports. Chief Joe Daigle.
Yes, gentlemen. As you know, and we've been discussing here, we did have a fire on Dortch, and I just wanted to go into a little bit of an explanation on what we did. On that call, when we responded to that call, I think our travel time was 3 minutes. And I did want to express the way the situation plays out typically in a emergency scene, and this was a very good example. In the morning, the firefighters show up to work. Typically, they put their gear on the truck, they walk into the firehouse, they have a cup of coffee, and then they have a morning meeting. And during that morning meeting, they discuss what took place the day before, what's going to take place with the training in the future. This meeting's usually about a half hour, 45 minutes for that day, and also any outstanding equipment issues that we may have. So this morning, estimate during their cup of coffee and morning meeting, they get this call. And I want to really show this, if we could shut those lights way down, because we really never used to document a lot of this information. We didn't really take pictures of scenes, and we really didn't take pictures of calls like this when they were happening. But it seems like in this day and age that this is common to be able to document what we do. We never saw a need to document this stuff before. But now we think it is a value to the community to actually show some of the situations. So this is actually, when the first engine arrived, this picture was taken. As you can see, the house is fully involved. This is what the initial crew saw within 3 minutes of when they, like I said, were having their morning meeting. So during this time, the call came in, there was a person trapped, potential additional victims trapped, not just one, I think there was 3, and kids. So within 3 minutes, the responding officer is making decisions here. The decision is whether or not I'm going to go into this building or whether I am not. Now, that's a big decision to make because you have the life of your crew, the life of those people inside, and all the families that are involved with that. So I'm very proud to say that the initial responding crew on this fire was one of the last lieutenants we promoted, Mike Mendez. Essentially, this was his first major call that he had to make a decision like that. And what he decided was, in this call, was to go around the backside of the building. They did a walk around and do what we call a vent enter search. Now, this is not Mendez because this picture was actually taken by Deputy Chief Giuliano. This was the second crew. Now, this picture right here is seconds after that first picture was taken. Go back to that first picture, please. This is seconds after this picture was taken. The back side of the house was the other. Now, he was the second one in, Jim Lamb was, when they did the search. And what we practice this out here over and over again like a basketball player practices a free throw. They busted out the back window, dove through the back window without a hose line at that particular time to try to do an initial search. That's him diving through the window. To try to do an initial search and try to find victims. They found the dog in the initial search. When they opened the door, they couldn't go any further without a hose line because they opened the door, it was a wall of fire, so they needed a hose line to go further. And this is Lieutenant Lamb was the second one in the vent enter search procedure. But the point is that we don't show all the calls that we run in the month. We typically will show recently the very few that we have an opportunity to take pictures of something like this happens. And these kind of decisions the lieutenants are making on hazardous materials calls, rollovers, you name it, medical calls. But I just got to say that I'm very proud of our initially promoted lieutenants that had the ability to make these decisions. This was the back of the house. Now, as you see, that's the one side. One thing, you see the firefighter there pointing? Basically, they had a live wire there that he was pointing out to the other crews that was snapping and popping. See him pointing to the ground? I don't know who took that picture.
I did.
Was that Deputy Chief Giuliano? Took that picture. So they knew they had, obviously you can imagine it's a highly volatile situation with cars coming screaming up, family members around, and that very easily could have been a lethal situation for the men responding to that calls. But that firefighter's pointing it out, and I know that Deputy Chief Giuliano saw it, and he tried to mark it to make sure everyone came around that building knew where it was. But these are just some of the things that they're making, snap observations with. Now, the next fire, this was the Villanova fire, and I took these videos. I think Deputy or Assistant Chief DeWitt and I went to this residence the next day, and then also went back for a third time. If you want to show that.
This one first, sir?
Yes, please. Now, this is the outside of the residence, and what you observe here is a normal-looking residence from the outside. This is after the catastrophic fire. Now, what you don't see is any damage to the roof. Now, you could play the second one, please, Assistant Chief. Can we shut those lights off for a second and replay it? Because you can't really see with the contrast. Yeah, there you go. Now, this is the inside of that building, just in a 30-second video. So from the outside, it doesn't look like much, but on the inside, you see there's some pretty significant and heavy damage. And I'm going to turn it over to the Deputy Chief Giuliano when we turn the lights back on, and he's going to explain from a construction standpoint and from a fire standpoint what you're actually seeing here and some of the decisions that were made. Once again, the decisions on this fire were made by our other new lieutenant that we just promoted. If you wouldn't mind, Deputy Chief.
Yes, sir. Incidentally, this fire was, I think, 2 days after the Dorch fire. And I was here with you on that date. I think it was the day after this fire, with you and the assistant chief, so we were looking at it. I was at home listening to this on the radio, and the guys did an awesome job, outstanding job. What happened was the family members went out for dinner, and while they were gone, the alarm company had notified them that their power went out. So they came back home, and they opened the garage door, and it was full of smoke. At that point, they called the fire department. We were there within 5 minutes. Listening to what happened and talking to the crews afterwards, they were concerned because, as you can see, the outside looked like it had barrel tile roof on it. And barrel tile roof they weigh about 12 pounds per square foot. That roof there would be about 30,000 pounds. And what happens is barrel tile roofs they don't show the smoke. And when it fails all at once and will crush everybody underneath it. So they go inside and they're looking for, I can hear them, they're looking with their thermal imagers for the fire. They went in the garage, the smoke was down to the floor. They entered into the kitchen, they did a left-hand search, and they're looking the whole time with the thermal imager to see where the fire was. Couldn't find it. Again, it's totally black smoke. They backed out because of the tile roof. They tried to ventilate, and they found out that the tile roof was really a metal roof, which is something we've heard of but rarely see. So they found out that it's really not a tile roof. So they re-entered with 2 crews, did a right-hand search this time, and with the thermal imagers, they found the seat of the fire in the back dining room. They put the fire out immediately, and then they found that there was fire above their heads with the thermal imager. So the fire was in the attic. They managed to put that fire out also. They did an investigation with the fire, through the fire marshal, and found out what caused this fire. It was a little unusual. The wiring, when it was constructed, which was back in the 80s, I believe, they stapled the wiring to the bottom cord of the truss, which is typical. What happened since then, and very recently, there was a leak in the roof. The leak in the roof swelled the bottom cord and pulled the wiring with the staples. It bared the wiring, caused a short. It was shorted to the staple, energized the staple. The staple wound up catching the wood on fire of the truss, and that's where it started. So it was a little unusual. A lot of people say, okay, this was a cinder block home. And like I've been saying, it's not the cinder block home, it's the contents of the home. This is the contents of the newer homes. I've said this a million times. Everything's plastic, the carpeting's plastic, everything in this room is plastic. Even these desks are plastic or compressed wood glued together with glue. So as it heats up and meets its ignition temperature, it'll catch fire quickly, faster, and burn hotter. So the guys did a real good job here. The lady, we met her, she was very pleased. They saved a lot of her china and some porcelain that was it was priceless to her. So the next day she was able to clean it. But that's the reason why we try to get there really quick. We do what we have to do to get these fires out. I was really proud of these guys. As with the Dorch fire, I was there. The reason I was so close, I was around back, and I was right there, able to see everything, and I was just swelled with pride the way these guys are jumping in that window. Because when we pulled up, I thought there's no way anybody's going to survive this. Well, they found one window where there was a chance, and they went in there without any hose lines and they did a magnificent job. So anyway, that house was a wood frame house, and it's something I've never seen down here in Florida before. The roof was conventionally framed. I'm a building contractor, so I know the difference. Up in Illinois, I used to do it all the time. I looked at this house and it had an 8-inch fascia on there, and I said, well, that's something different. It was conventionally framed. So that roof was not made with trusses. And the house was framed, but you had drywall on it. Drywall kept the house from burning down. If you see the pictures of the Dorch fire, the structure is basically still there. Same with this fire here. The structure's there. But it's the contents inside the homes that really, really catches fire and gets things going. So, any questions?
Chief, did you find the source of the Dorsch fire?
That's still under investigation, Chief?
Yes.
We were looking at it, and it looked to us like it had started in the back corner, but we're not investigators. The investigators are still searching it, and because it's there's been a death there, so it's going to take a while, I think.
Yeah. When you have an issue like that, it's specifically when there's a deceased fire victim, you pretty much have every agency involved. We had the Lee County Sheriff's Office detectives. We also have the State Fire Marshal's Office, and they do their own individual investigations. There's essentially 3 investigations. We have our arson task force, well, 4. We really don't do it, but the arson task force from Lee County, also the Lee County Sheriff's Office, and the State Fire Marshals. We haven't received any word from the remaining agencies, but as soon as they are available, we'll discuss them.
I would like to say as a teaching point, that house, the room they jumped in, the door was closed initially. So anybody who sleeps with their door open should think twice about that. If you close your door at night and there's a fire in your house, you got that much more time to get out. There's always 2 exits out of a home, and one of them's the window, out of any room. And one of them's a window, one of them's a door. If they panic and they stay inside the bedroom or leave that bedroom into an unsecure area, it's a problem. But if you close your door, you'll be amazed at how much more time you can have for yourself. I've got some videos of that. Someday I'd like to put them up on the screen here.
Yeah. And, some of this construction is vital to determining whether or not we enter a building and how long we stay. I mean, they pulled out, as soon as they found it was barrel tile roof, when they thought it was barrel tile roof, that's only held on by gusset plates, which melt, and then the whole roof collapses. So that's why they pulled out of that fire when they pulled the ceiling and saw that the fire was above their head, because they figured they only have a few seconds left before the whole thing comes down on them. But when they pulled out of that and they realized what they were dealing with, they had one of the firefighters got on the roof or on the ladder to try to vent the roof to contain the fire to one area of the house, and he hit the roof, and it was metal. So then that changed the tactics again, in which they determined to send in another interior attack crew to try to attack from the inside, because they weren't going to vent that roof expeditiously.
I happened to be on scene for that fire at Villanova that evening, and I have some history with that whole neighborhood and the neighborhood I live in, because when I first moved down here in the early 80s, I actually worked for the developer that built all those houses, and I was very familiar. My office used to be right next door in the house just to the south of that house that burned. So when the call came in for a fire on Villanova, I went and actually was on scene and watched the whole process pretty much from start to finish. And the guys did what appeared to be a very, very dangerous situation, like you were talking about with the tile roof, because I was also on a fire about 18 months ago. It happened to be at the golf course at Pelican Landing, and when you witness those tile roofs come down, they come down like dominoes, and there's no warning. You see the structure, and the roof is there, and all of a sudden, it's not there. It just collapses, and anybody, underneath that 30 or 40,000 pounds doesn't have a chance. So, and even Deputy Chief Scott and I were talking on the scene, and we were both standing there. He said, well, they told me that's not a tile roof, but he says, I haven't got proof of that. That roof did look like it was a tile roof, and it was metal, but standing there in the dark and the smoke and everything else, it was very, very deceiving. But I will say that from a firsthand view of that, the crews did an awesome job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There was one more fire that I wanted to discuss, because I just wanted, each month I've been trying to cover a few different aspects of what we do. And we did have a fire at Noah's Ark School over there off of Crown Royal. And that was a fire, basically it's a elementary school?
Preschool.
Preschool. And what they did was they had smoke in the building, and they removed all the people. They evacuated, and our crews got there and expeditiously, like they do, and they were searching. They had some smoke. Well, what they found was a motor that was, I believe it was an AC motor?
Air conditioner motor.
Air conditioner motor, yeah, AC motor. and
Oh, I'm sorry, that one was a exhaust fan.
exhaust fan motor. So when they found it, they actually had smoke and flames. There was a small smoke and flames in the attic, and we're thankful for that because we actually got to find it. They said, well, you know, some people wonder what the difference in fire is between the Dorch fire, that Villanova fire, and the Noah's Ark fire. Well, the difference is time. The difference is minutes. That very well could have been those types of fire scenarios 5 minutes later, you know. But fortunately, we're able to get there quick enough and be able to put them out. But I just wanted to mention.
The thing of note there is that they were all within a few days of each other.
Yeah. So that was the report of the Noah's Ark Fire Pension Trustee. I did want to mention in my report also that the boat, the inflatable boat that we had up for bid, that we did not receive any bids on, we did put it in the boat trader, and we did receive some bids. I'm going to turn it over to the Assistant Chief to discuss that.
Yeah, we put it in a boat trader and said $2,000 or best offer, because originally we'd put it out to all the publications and all the other agencies, and we'd asked for $3,500 as a minimum bid, or $3,000, I'm sorry, as a minimum bid. We never did get anything for that, so we went into the boat trader. Since that time, we'd had 3 different people call and get interest in it. Happy to say, a Mockley Fire Department called us today and offered us $1,700 for it today, so we're going to at least give it to another rescue agency. So they're supposed to cut us a check this week and come and pick it up. They're actually going to do it today, but I think they ran out of time.
That's a win-win.
Thank you. I also did, unfortunately, want to report on our legislative process for our COPCN for ambulance transport. It did not go through, and it was not heard by the Rules Committee or the House. So for all intents and purposes, the bill is dead and is no longer active in the session. And that is all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Greg?
I'll be brief. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed. A few months ago, you guys cut the check for Motorola and for MDCs. I'm happy to report that all the MDCs from Motorola and the new VLMs are in. They're being installed this week and next week, so hopefully in another 2 weeks they'll be up and running, and it just gives us, the ones we currently have in the trucks now are 8 to 10 years old, depending on which truck you're in, so everybody will have up-to-date ones, lightning fast, and this way when we go on scene or get the map updates, they're more live. Before it was a 12 to 13 second delay. So now it's instantaneously. So I'd like to thank the board for that and just give you an update that they are being installed this week.
Hopefully there'll be no hitches. Deputy Chief Giuliano?
Yeah, so I just want to go over one thing that came in with the ISO Insurance Services Office. And they sent us a letter, their community outreach program. I'll just read a little bit here. Dear Fire Chief Daigle, Insurance Services Offices Incorporated, ISO, is the principal provider of insurance, underwriting, rating, and statistical information to the insurance industry in the United States. Nearly all insurance companies rely on ISO's Public Protection Classification, PPC, in calculating premiums for property insurance. Information regarding the fire department water supply, fire alarm system, and fire jurisdiction boundaries are critical to this process. Community outreach program is designed to collect information on essential fire protection features within the community. Providing current information to ISO will ultimately help the citizens of your community. Property owners within your community will be able to receive the full benefit of available property insurance premium discounts. Ours is a 3, as you all know. What they're doing here is they sent out a map of our district, and we're going to send back any changes we have, including any of our new hydrants that have been put in, and they'll be able to credit some of our citizens with better rates, hopefully.
Will the new truck have an impact on that rating, or do we have to wait till that's in service?
We'll have to wait till that's in service, but this is something in the meantime, so we won't get our other report done probably for a year or so. I would suggest we waited till we opened up Station 6.
Right.
That would help us also. But this is something in the meantime. They're reaching out to us, so that's a good thing.
Thank you. Deputy Chief Scott is not here this evening. Then we're going to open it up to public comment. I will call up, the first one I have here is Richard Ferrer.
Thank you, Chairman Lohan, members of the Fire Service, Fire Commissioners. You see a group of people out here, they're from the towers in District 1 on Hickory Boulevard. As you know, the districts there, at least the city council districts, District 3 is the lower part of Hickory Boulevard. District 1 is the upper part, and there are a significant number of people there who are very disturbed because the response time as a result of the lack of a fire station or a stationary interlocal agreement with Fort Myers Beach. There is one on fire, for fires, but there's none for rescue. This is what we're told. So we're not here to preach, at least I'm not. I'm here to just gather some facts to find out whether or not what we're told can be verified. In the 30 years, 50 years I've spent in the public safety business in one form or another, my street experience, I must have been on 5,000, I don't know how many rescues, with the fire service, as Chief Daigle mentioned earlier, with the Lee County Fire Sheriffs, the Lee County Sheriff's Department. It's critical that they work together. And in all those years, many of the calls that I responded to, the fire service was there before we got there. So response times are critical for fire service, as you know. And the police service, it's a little bit different. We kind of prioritize the calls. And many times you don't have to respond priority 1, you can wait a half hour or 45 minutes. You can't do that with the fire service except for inspections, I would assume. When I called one time the fire marshal for we were asking about speed bumps, his answer to me was, we are discouraging speed bumps because it slows down our response time. And I respect that. I was just a board member, asked it. You know, it wasn't, and I accept that, we accepted that. So I'm not going to speak any more on it. The police chief retired from Newport, Rhode Island, whose son is retiring very soon as a deputy fire chief in Newport. He's here with a whole group of people from the towers, and we hope to hear his presentation. And he's got some documentation that he wants to talk about. So with that, I'll close, except to say we are fully supportive of a fire station or a suitable piece of land to be given to the fire service by the state or county where a station could be built and a boat can be in a position of quick response. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Poldoran?
It's Linda Poldoran, but I would ask that you go before me.
Who's he?
John Beatty.
Oh,
Colonel.
okay. Come on up, John. I just took them in the order that I got them, so.
I want to follow up your computer here. Yeah, that'd be good. We'd like to start this out, and Ellie, I enjoyed this meeting tonight, Commissioners, especially the presentations that the fire chief made to the public. I felt that was very informative. I've seen that happen in other communities, and I want to congratulate the fire service for recognizing people for doing these things in the community. Well, good evening, Commissioner.
Excuse me, can you move that microphone over just a little bit, because it's been being recorded in this.
Good morning, good evening.
Thank you.
I'm John Beebe, President of Lovers Key Beach Club Condo Association. I'm a retired police chief, as I was introduced, and also retired colonel from the United States Army Military Police Corps, responsible for security, safety, and a resident of Lovers Key Beach Club since 1996. Not an owner, but a resident. Been an owner since 1967. I read in the paper that some of the residents of Hickory Island were against the fire station being built on the donated property near the water tower as you come over the Hickory Bridge, which was voted against the building at your last meeting, I guess because of their participation here at the time. This is the reason I come before you tonight to address a very serious public issue on the response time of a rescue wagon to Black Island. I have first observed this on December 24th at 9 a.m. The rescue wagon took over 15 minutes responding for a board member that had a stroke. Then I heard from another resident who happens to be here tonight that it took 20 minutes for the rescue to respond to him. I looked into this and found out there was an local agreement with Myers Beach for fire and none in rescue. Reason I did that, we have what we call a reciprocal agreement back in Rhode Island, that we respond, the police respond to them onto the adjacent towns, and also our fire services will back up and respond, whether it's rescue or fire, to the different surrounding towns. So we do have that. And also we have a big naval base. We do the same with them, with their fire service and rescues. So I thought this is what was the case down here, but I find out different. The fire station on Vanderbilt Avenue that serves us has a response time from there to Black Island of 15 minutes. And the fire chief in Newport has sent me a copy of the National Fire Protection Association. I will read you some of the requirements for emergencies, medical operations. I know I don't want to bother you doing, I just got a couple of highlights here. One of them says dispatch time. The point of receiving of the emergency alarm at the public safety answering point to the point where sufficient information is known to the dispatcher and applicable units are notified of the emergency. Response times, these are the definition that they're given. The travel time that begins when units are en route to the emergency incident and ends with units arriving at the scene. Turnout time, the time beginning when units acknowledge notification of the emergency to the beginning point of response time, like your chief has identified earlier tonight. Medical service, purpose, EMS. Operations should be organized to ensure that the fire department emergency medical capabilities, including personnel, equipment, and resources to deploy the initial arrival company and additional alarm situations. And I know for a fact that EIMPs are well-trained, have to go get certified, and that when the emergency wagon comes, they can be on contact with the emergency room to be able to do different things to maybe to help the situation that's at hand.
Can we?
I have one here.
We need to wrap this
Fire
up.
Department EMS provides a first response with AEDs shall be deployed to provide for the arrival of the first response with AED company within a 4-minute response time to 90% of the incidents as established by the Chapter 4 they have here. I won't go into all that.
I got to stop you here for a minute, Mr. Beebe, because we are aware
of that.
that we don't have, yeah, we
Okay, then.
have these protocols in place, and we only meet our response times on Hickory
I
Island 14%.
just won't bother you anymore with
No,
reading
I
that.
just want you
Okay,
to
I'll-
know that we only meet our response times on
Okay.
Hickory Island 14% of the time, which is unacceptable, which is why we're facing the dilemma that we
And
are.
my fire chief, the one that in Newport, says his department has an 85% meeting all of these things within the 5-minute.
We do the same thing in Bonita, but unfortunately, when you lump all of the other calls,
Right.
when we're on scene in 3 minutes, and then we don't get there for 16
But
minutes,
we'd like
the
to be in
average-
that 85
Well,
minutes.
and we would love to put you there. We are working diligently toward that solution, and, as far as an interlocal agreement, I will only address the fact that Lee County Dispatch has a closest unit response on all of those calls, okay? So we don't determine, Fort Myers Beach doesn't determine, Lee County, when they dispatch, they dispatch the closest unit response to any call, doesn't matter which one it is, doesn't matter which jurisdiction it's in. So that's, and further comments on this, I think would be, I'd be more than happy to sit down, and I know the chief would be more than happy to sit down and go over what our problems are. And any support that we can get from residents like yourself that live down there, we are begging for that help, because we know what the problem is as well as you do, and we are looking for a solution that is palatable to everybody that lives down there, so.
I'd just like to add that we have 255 residents there.
Right.
And that there's about occupancy of about 650 in season, I'd say. And then we have the restaurant that's open to the general public there that has a lot. And then also the park next door to us has about 1,200 a day visits, paying, not the ones that can
Right.
sneak underneath or over or things like that. But I'm saying 1,200 paying, so you had, oops, but there's quite a few there. So in closing, I'll make it short now. I would like you to address the new fire station, what you said. Or we have a 3 minutes response time or find an answer for the residents on Black Island for having under 5 minutes response time. And I like to
We're on the same page.
I'd like to thank retired police captain Richard Ferreira for his help, and this Board of Commissioners for taking their time tonight to listen to me so that we can resolve this problem that we have down on Black Island.
Thank you, sir. Now, Linda Poldoran.
I'm Linda Paldoy, and I'm the president
Pull
of
the
the Black...
microphone down, please, so the recording. Thank
I'm
you.
Linda, you mean I'm short?
I didn't say
Vertically
that.
challenged?
I didn't say that.
I'm Linda Paldoy, and I am the president of the Black Island Master Association, which holds Island Beach Club, it holds Lovers Key Beach Club, the resort, Lovers Key Resort, and Flippers as a restaurant. So there is a large volume of people involved. When I first walked in, I approached the gentleman here and I said, I think you might want to have more chairs. I knew what was coming because it is that critical to us. We have to rely on Vanderbilt Drive to get to us, and that's 15 to 17 minutes on a good day. And that is not a sense of security. The Fort Myers Beach Fire certainly will be there, and that's closest to us, and they do have the facility for emergency EMS service, but they cannot put us in an ambulance. We have to wait till the rescue vehicle gets there. So we are at serious risk, and our taxes are paid to Bonita Springs. So I think that's a simple way of saying that there's an opportunity here that, as I understand it, land has been donated to have a facility erected that would keep a large volume of people safe, not even counting those that don't have anything to do with Black Island that visit the state park, as the colonel referenced. So I want to emphasize the importance, and this speaks to why there are so many people here this evening.
And we appreciate everybody
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. That's all the cards I have. Is there any further public comment? Hearing none, then we will call for a motion to adjourn.
I have one,
Yes.
I just wanted to make you aware of some dates. I'll turn it over to Jessica.
A couple reminders. This Thursday at 4 p.m. is when the application window closes for the soon-to-be vacant commissioner seat. And then there's a special meeting for those interviews on Monday, March 28th at 2 p.m.
Right, got it.
Okay.
Everybody knows that, right? Yes. Monday, March 28th, 2 o'clock, we have to be here for a special meeting. That's it?
Want to say something?
You may say something, absolutely you may.
Well, this is my last hurrah, I guess. I've not looked forward to this meeting, but I want to tell my fellow fire commissioners that it's been enjoyable working with all of you. That includes Larry, the man on my right. And we've been in a lot of different interesting things. I wish that our legislative initiative has succeeded, but there isn't anybody on staff or sitting at this table who didn't have the same point of view on that. If you want to go for it again, I'll help you from where my new location is. And I just want to tell you that I think all of you are great guys, and that goes for the current and the previous people that sat here. Thank you much.
Thank you, sir.
I just had a couple of things I wanted to bring up. Number one, I just want to address everybody in the audience. We are going to work very diligently on your problem. It's in our minds, front of our minds. We've been working on it in the past, and we were looking for a solution, so you're not speaking on deaf ears. I just want you to know that. And number two, I want to thank the firefighters for letting me play softball last week. I played 9 innings catching. I was 5 for 7, 7 RBIs, and I couldn't walk for the next 2 days. Thank you.
If nobody else has any comments, we're going to call it a night. Thank you all for coming, and like Commissioner Casilla said, we are actively working on it, and we're also trying to find a location that's acceptable to all the residents that live there and still gives us our response. So we know that we are working on it very hard, and you didn't come here to change our minds about it. It's been in the front of our minds all along. We know what the problem is, and we're going to do our damnedest to fix it. So.